Hello, and welcome to the Veteran's Voice. My name is Joe Armstrong, and I will be your host for today's show. Today I'd like to speak to you about some issues that are important to all veterans, not just Vietnam veterans. The first thing I'd like to talk about is cold injuries. Service members have been exposed to extreme cold in combat and military training missions. The major cold injuries they suffer include frostbite, non-freezing cold injuries, immersion foot, formerly called trench foot, and hypothermia. The risk of cold injuries depends on several environmental conditions, including temperature, wind, and moisture, in combination with physical activity, the duration of exposure, and the amount of protection. The individual's level of fitness and cold susceptibility also contribute to the risk. If you are concerned about health problems associated with cold injuries, talk to your health care provider or your local VA environmental health coordinator. How veterans may have received cold injuries. Veterans may have received cold exposure to extreme cold without adequate protection during, but not limited to, the following. World War II, the Battle of the Bulge, fought in December 1944 through January 1945 under conditions of extreme cold. The Korean War, the Chosin Reservoir Campaign, conducted from October 1950 through December 1950 in temperatures that dropped to 50 degrees Fahrenheit below zero, with a wind chill factor of 100 degrees Fahrenheit below zero. Operation Enduring Freedom, OEF, in Afghanistan. Other campaigns or circumstances during military service, including training. What are some of the health problems associated with cold injuries? Cold injuries may result in long-term health problems, including the following signs and symptoms at the site of the exposure. Change in muscular, skin, nails, ligaments, and bones, skin cancer and frostbite scars, neurologic injuries with symptoms such as bouts of pain in the extremities, hot or cold tingling sensations and numbness, vascular injury with Raynaud's phenomenon with symptoms such as extremities becoming painful and white or discolored when cold. The VA has developed a guide for clinicians on how to diagnose and treat cold injuries. Veterans and others may also be interested. What should your health concerns be? If you are concerned about health problems associated with cold injuries during your military service, talk to your health care provider or your local VA environmental health coordinator. VA offers a variety of health care benefits to eligible veterans. What are some of the compensatable benefits for health care problems? Veterans may file a claim for disability compensation for health problems they believe are related to cold injuries during military service. The VA decides these claims on a case-by-case basis. Seek out and talk to your local veteran service officer at one of the veterans organizations, such as the VFW, AMVETS, the American Legion, DAV, Vietnam Veterans of America, or go to and talk with a representative at your local Veterans Outreach Center. The next topic I'd like to discuss is for our veterans that served in the U.S. Marine Corps and were stationed or lived on Camp Lejeune. What I'd like to discuss is the Camp Lejeune drinking water contamination. In the early 1980s, at the Marine Corps base in Lejeune, North Carolina, it was discovered that 2 on-base water supply systems were contaminated with volatile organic compounds, trichloroethene, TEC, a metal degreaser, and perchloride, PCE, a dry cleaning agent, and benzene. Vinyl chloride and other compounds were also found to be contaminating the water supply systems. The water systems were contaminated from August 1953 through December 1987. There is limited and suggestive evidence of an association between certain diseases and the chemical compounds found at Camp Lejeune during the period of contamination. The VA will consider disability compensation claims based on exposure to the contaminated water at Camp Lejeune on a case-by-case basis. New health benefits under a law signed August 6, 2012, veterans and family members who served on active duty or resided at Camp Lejeune for 30 days or more between January 1, 1957 and December 31, 1987 may be eligible for medical care through the VA for 15 health conditions. They are esophageal cancer, breast cancer, kidney cancer, multiple myeloma, renal toxicity, female infertility, scleroderma, non-Hodgkin's disease lymphoma, lung cancer, bladder cancer, leukemia, myeloplastic miscarriage, neurobehavioral effects. Veterans already enrolled in the VA health care, contact your local VA care facility to receive care under the new law. Those not already enrolled should call 1-877-222-8387 for assistance. Family members will receive care after Congress appropriates funds and VA publishes regulations. Compensation benefits. The new law applies to health care, not disability compensation. At this time, there is insufficient scientific and clinical evidence to establish a presumptive association between service at Camp Lejeune during the period of water contamination and the development of certain diseases. VA is closely monitoring new research. VA representatives regularly attend the quarterly Community Action Panel meetings hosted by the Agency of Toxic Substance and Diseases Registry. Veterans may file a claim for disability compensation for health problems they believe are related to exposure to the contaminated water at Camp Lejeune. VA decides these claims on a case-by-case basis. File a claim online. Eligibility requirements. You must be a veteran who was discharged under conditions other than dishonorable. You must have served Camp Lejeune during the period of contamination, August 1953 through 1987. You must have a current disease and a medical opinion that states the disease is a result of exposure to contaminated water at Camp Lejeune. Normally, VA will initiate a VA medical examination and request an opinion regarding the relationship of the disease to Camp Lejeune service. Evidence requirements. The evidence must show you served at Camp Lejeune during the period of contamination, August 1953 to December 1987. The evidence must show you have a current disease, include a medical opinion indicating the disease is a result of exposure to contaminated water at Camp Lejeune. For veterans' disabilities claims, if you believe you have a health problem related to the water at Camp Lejeune, you may file a claim for disability compensation. This is separate from the new law. These claims will be decided on a case-by-case basis. You can file for disability benefits online at www.ebenefits.va.gov or contact your nearest VA regional office at 1-800-877-1000. For further information and to sign up for updates, VHA Office of Public Health has a website at Camp Lejeune Historical Water Contamination at www.publichealth.va. The U.S. Marine Corps encourages all those who lived or worked at Camp Lejeune before 1987 to register to receive notifications regarding Camp Lejeune historic drinking water. How to apply? Apply online at eBenefits or work with an accredited representative or agent or contact a local Veterans Service Officer. There's one at almost every veterans organization such as the VFW, Legion, AMVET, DAV, Vietnam Veterans of America, or at your local Veterans Outreach Center. If you feel that you have a medical condition or disease that may be related to the water contamination at the Marine Corps Base Lejeune and would like a copy of the claims packet, please contact me at president@vva1044maine.org, and I'll make sure you receive a copy in the mail. The next subject that I would like to talk about is compensation for military hazardous exposures. As a veteran, you may have been exposed to a range of chemical, physical, and environmental hazards during military service. You may be entitled to disability compensation if these military exposures resulted in a disease or injury. Read about the type of services that may have resulted to exposure to certain hazards, asbestos. If you served in any of the following military occupation specialties, you may have been exposed to asbestos, mining, milling, shipyard works, installation work, demolition of old buildings, carpentry, construction, or manufacturing and installation of products such as flooring and roofing. Additionally, if you served in Iraq and other countries in that region, you may have been exposed to asbestos when older buildings were damaged and the contaminant was released into the air. Specific environmental hazards. You may have been exposed to environmental hazards at military installations during military service. These hazards include burn pits, particulate matter, chemical fires, waste disposal pollution. There are VA open burn pit registry. The VA is committed to caring for the needs of veterans who have lung and other health conditions possibly related to the deployment to Southwest Asia, theater of operation. The Airborne Hazards and Open Burn Pit Registry will enable the VA to better assess the veterans exposed to burn pits and other airborne hazards. The registry launch was postponed to allow adequate time to develop and test the software and hardware, as well as to ensure data security and accessibility. Now that it's available, veterans may participate and need not to be enrolled in the VA healthcare system to do so, because the registry is an epidemiological research tool, and the receipt of a registry explanations and tests does not constitute the receipt of care. VA encourages all veterans who served in Iraq, Afghanistan, Djibouti, and the Gulf War to participate in the registry. Veterans should sign up now for a Department of Defense self-service log-on in preparation for the launch of the registry. This registry will enhance our VA's understanding of any individual long-term adverse health effects of exposure to burn pits and other airborne hazards during deployment, ultimately leading to a better health care. Iodizing radiation. Veterans may have been exposed to iodizing radiation during military service if, for example, they participated in nuclear weapons testing. There are certain diseases that may be service-connected if the disease occurred as a result of the radiation exposure. Mustard gas. Approximately 4,500 service members were exposed to mustard gas as voluntary soldiers, subject to experiments conducted by the Department of Defense. This exposure may result in health problems. Project 112/SHAD, S-H-A-D. Approximately 6,000 U.S. service members were involved in conducting chemical tests to defend against biological and chemical weapon threats from 1962 to 1974 in Fort Douglas, Utah. These tests are known as Project 112 and Project SHAD. Participation in these tests may result in subsequent illnesses among veterans, or may qualify a survivor or veteran who died from such tests to certain VA benefits. Radiologic risk activities. There are certain diseases that may be service-connected if the disease occurred as a result of the veteran's participation in radiation risk activity. Examples of radiation risk activities include serving or being a prisoner of war in Japan and participating in nuclear weapons testing. My last topic I'd like to talk about is called the rumor mills. Rumor mills are a permanent fixture in schools, offices, and wherever people congregate, and most of the time they're pretty innocuous. But myths and rumors that deal with health, in this case veterans' health, are a serious matter that can prevent qualified vets from seeking the care they both need and deserve. 5 myths about the VA care eligibility. Myth number 1, I wasn't injured in service, so I'm not eligible for the VA health care. That's false. Most of the most common myths revolve around eligibility for health care at the VA. Many think that you have to first establish a disability rating before you can start to make appointments, see doctors, or receive medication. That is not the case. If you served in the military, even during peacetime, or honorably discharged, you likely qualify for VA care. Even if you don't meet those requirements, special circumstances might apply, like Vietnam service, exposure to Agent Orange, and household income. The best way to find out if you qualify is to submit an application for health care benefits. You can fill one out online or at the VA Medical Center. If you are an Iraq or Afghanistan veteran, there are special combat veterans benefits from the VA, like temporary access to dental care and guaranteed access to Priority 6 for 5 years, unless you're eligible for a higher priority. VA will automatically reassess your case if it's on file. Myth number 2, I can only receive care for service-connected injuries. That's false. You can receive VA hospital and outpatient care for any ailment, service-connected or not, if you are enrolled in the VA healthcare system, but you may have to pay a copayment. For example, if a veteran is service-connected for a bad knee, any VA hospital and outpatient and medication for the knee is free of charge. However, if the same vet goes into surgery to remove an appendix and it's not service-connected, he may be subject to a copay, depending on the amount of his disability rating and other factors. Familiarize yourself with copay guidelines and rates. A small number of veterans, such as those with bad conduct discharges that VA has determined were issued under conditions other than honorable and who are not subject to certain statutory bars to benefits, can only be treated for services-connected disabilities and nothing else. If one of those vets is service-connected for their left foot, they can only use VA health care for their left foot and nothing else. Myth number 3, I make too much money to qualify for the VA health care status. It depends. If you do not have a service-connected disability, you may want to use VA's financial calculator to see if you qualify for free VA care, medication, and travel benefits. If your income is too high, over a maximum income level set every year, you may have to pick up the tab for traveling and receiving your care and medications by paying a co-payment. Recently, the rules have been changed for Priority 8 veterans to permit more of them to enroll in the VA health care. Myth number 4, I can't use VA health care if I have private health insurance. That's false. From VA Health Eligibility Center Director Tony Gagliardo, we strongly encourage veterans to receive all the health care through VA. However, if you choose to receive treatment from private doctors, VA will work with them to meet your health care needs and coordinate effective treatment. We call this co-managed care or dual care, which means that your VA private doctors will work together to provide safe, appropriate, and ethical medical care. And lastly, myth number 5, if I'm 100% disabled, that means I'm permanently disabled. That's false. You could have a 100% disability rating as a temporary status while you undergo surgery and have it reduced to its previous rating after you heal. 100% doesn't necessarily stay with you. I know it's a lot to digest right now, so if you'd like to have a printed copy of what we have discussed here today or any of our shows, please email me at president@vva1044maine.org with your mailing address, and I will send you a copy. On our next show, we'll be discussing appeals and how to file them, so please tune in. But before we go, I'd like to tell you about a program we have. We're doing a raffle. It's called the Veterans Helping Veterans Raffle. We're selling tickets for first prize is a 42-inch LCD flat screen TV. The second prize is a $200 gift certificate, thanks to the courtesy of Cabela's Sporting Goods in Scarborough. Great bunch of people. Tickets are $5 in each, or $10 for 3. If you'd like to have a ticket, or tickets, send a check or a money order to Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 1044, P.O. Box 844, Sanford, Maine, 04073. Thank you for watching The Veteran's Voice. I'm Joe Armstrong. Until the next time, don't give up the good fight. Thank you.